We all ready? Brett, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, let's call the MPC to order at 1 o'clock. Are there any agenda additions from the members? Seeing none, can I get a motion? Mr. Stolberg.
I'll move the agenda be approved as presented.
Brett, you got that?
Yep.
From Mr. Stolberg. All those in favor? That is carried. Excellent. Minute approval from September 27th, regular minutes distributed. Everybody had a chance to read it. Any issues or concerns? Seeing none? Okay, Mr. Clark will move those. All those in favor?
We just tried to get ahead of the game. Sorry.
Okay, nothing rising from the minutes. Introductions. We do have one individual online, so we're going to start with Mr. Rich Fitzgerald.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Rich Fitzgerald, Development Officer.
Brittany Owens, Recording Secretary.
Thank you.
Ernie Gender, board member.
Paul McKay, board member.
Larry Clark, board member.
Dave Grover.
Justin Stevens, good afternoon.
Les Stulberg, board member.
James Nyberg, Chair of MPC.
Craig Teal, Director of Planning and Development.
Andrew Rishick, Director of Municipal Services.
And online we have, I take it, Mr. Murray Brennan. Murray?
It's Christy, actually. Hi.
Okay, Christy. So, good. Hello. All right, so we're going to go right to your development. 6.1, who's taking this one? There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The application is to consider a discretionary use development permit for a home business, custom furniture construction. The subject property is located at number 13 Carlisle Road in Carlisle Estates. The property is bordered on the east and south sides with subdivision properties and a cul-de-sac, Armand Close on the west side. Access to the property is located on Carlisle Road. It's a 2.99 acre parcel and has a detached dwelling with attached garage centered on the property, along with another detached ancillary building, the second garage, placed to the west of the primary structure. The property is landscaped with mature trees and shrubs. There's roughly 325 foot between the ancillary building and the proposed base to the business operation and the adjacent homes. So you can see the overhead of the property. It's kind of the location of the home-based business is going to be the building to the left. And it's got good separation from adjacent properties. Got some mature trees that shelter it. So land use bylaw, home business is defined as the following. It has to be secondary use from the principal dwelling unit by the permanent resident of that dwelling, without the help of outside employees to conduct business activity, trade, craft, or occupation. As far as setbacks, front yard setback of 25 feet. The development is compliant with that, meets the rear yard setback, side yards, and is within the maximum height as well. So this property is zoned as country residence equestrian. The home business is discretionary use in this district. The property owner is proposing to operate a custom furniture construction business based in the ancillary building located west of the dwelling. No other persons besides the permanent residents of the property will be employed. The owner stated that there will not be any signage for advertisements outside of the business. There will be no display of products or supply storage or anything outside. Hours of operation will be Monday to Saturday between 7 and 10, Sunday and statutory holidays between the hours of 10 and 6. The business is not expected to add any excessive traffic. That is not characteristic of the neighborhood. And there is ample room on the property to accommodate parking for customers. See from the photos, lots of room to park in there. So our alternatives are to approve the application based on conditions put forward by administration, or approve the application based on revised conditions, or postpone a decision on the application to receive further information, or deny the application stating the reasons. Recommendation from administration is that DP 23093 be approved with the attached conditions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clark?
I would put forward, number one, approve the application based on the conditions put forward by administration.
Okay, excellent. Christie, do you have anything to say? Would you like to comment?
No, I don't think so. It was all set out in the application there.
Okay, perfect. Okay, then is there no other questions from board members? Seeing none, I'll call the questions. All those in favor? That is carried. So you got that, Brett? From Mr. Clark to approve it, and then carried. Okay, thank you, Christie. You can stick around and listen if you want.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Have a
Have
good
a good
one.
day.
Bye now.
Bye.
Then we'll move on to 6.2 as in order of business. Rich, again?
Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
6.2 we'll go to. Yeah.
12.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The purpose of this application is to consider a discretionary use development permit for 2 RVs as dwelling units and an ancillary building to be placed in the front yard. Subject property is located at number 13 Vincent Way in Buffalo Lake Meadows subdivision on the south shore of Buffalo Lake. So if you go to page 13, you'll see the subject property. It's a bare parcel currently. It looks as though the trail network up there has been using this private property for access. The MR is over on the left-hand side there. So that has been addressed with the new owners. The pathway has been cleared and people will be directed to use that instead of the private property there. If you go to the site plan, you'll see where they are proposing to use to place the 2 trailers. The 2 trailers will be connected to a holding tank, as that's all that's allowed up there. The ancillary building they're proposing to place it in the front yard. So that it will need a variance to be placed there. Buffalo Lake Meadows is also the only subdivision in the county that allows the 2 RVs to be used as dwelling units. So the property zone resort residential, and it is a discretionary use with a permit for RV to be used as a dwelling unit. Permit may only be issued as a time limited permit, subject to a period not exceeding 5 years. Upon expiry, the development permit continue to be reapplied and reissued indefinitely, each time for a period not exceeding 5 years. So the development authority has to be satisfied that the design, finish, and appearance of the RV is compatible with the amenities and character of the surrounding area. There are other lots in the subdivision with RVs as dwelling units, and two of them on the same property as well. It says pursuant to section 76.4 Buffalo Lake Meadows, a maximum of 2 RV per lot may be allowed at the discretion of the development authority. So then we've got photos of the RVs. And I will point out that both of these RVs are older than the 10 years. So that is also becomes MPC has discretion to look at them. Make sure that they meet with the aesthetic of the community. Setbacks, the front yard setback, the development is compliant. All of the setbacks have been met with the site plan for this development. It is in the opinion of administration, the request for a variance to locate the ancillary building in the front yard portion of the property satisfies the required standards for variance eligibility. The ancillary building conforms to the use prescribed in the district in the land use bylaw. It meets all the required setbacks from the property boundaries. Subdivision and subject property are situated in an area with an abundance of mature tree growth. Proposed location paired with the natural buffering of the foliage will not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood or materially interfere with the effect or use or enjoyment of neighboring parcels of land. Applications of the same nature in the subdivision have been submitted and approved by the Municipal Planning Commission. Therefore, the recommendation is that the administration recommends the development permit be approved with conditions as detailed in the attached draft permit. The one condition that I would point out is that we are recommending this be approved for a 2-year period. And the reason behind that is the age of the RVs, because they're already over that time span. it allows us to have a quicker look at this rather than going the full 5 years.
Okay. Now there's 2 sheds in this? It looks on the pad page to me that there's 2 sheds. So like 2
So-
separate development permits, or how does that work?
No, all of this is on one development permit, but the one shed, because it's placed in the rear yard and it's under the 192 square feet, doesn't need a permit.
So the portable 100 square foot one, because it's up front, is an issue. Okay. Okay. Any questions or concerns from the board members? Mr. Stevens?
I move that we approve the application based on the conditions put forward by administration.
Mr. Gender and then Mr. McKay?
That was included.
I'm just looking at the pathway that already exists off there. Is it going to be relocated onto the MR? And also in the MR, there's kind of a white spot. I'm not really sure if there's a building that is sitting on there from the adjacent owners.
It appears there is an outbuilding of some sort there. And that pathway has been mowed so that people can walk through there now instead of accessing the private property.
Okay, so they changed that. Okay. Does that satisfy your question?
As long as we look into that, if there is a building on there, we'll look into it a little bit more, please.
Okay. Mr. McKay?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, because on the map there, or on the picture there, it shows that there are no buildings, whatever, so everything's going to be new, including the septic system I'm taking.
Yes, that's what I understand.
That's all, that's the only question. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns from board members? Okay. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Mr. Grover is opposed. Everybody else is in favor. You got that one?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Moving on, 7.1. Who's taking this one?
That will mean, me, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Is it
Page
page-
23 of your package.
So page 31 on the screen. So this subdivision application is up in the Buffalo Lake IDP area. So the Bar W site and White Sands will be just to the north. And the proposal is to basically eliminate a 5-acre block of land, which you can just see the faint outline in the lower left part of that photo. So that's where lot 4 is currently, in exchange for the creation of the new parcel around the existing house outlined in the pink. At the very north sort of upper left corner of that sketch, you'll see the 6-acre parcel that was created a few years ago. And the same subject site was the topic of a bit of discussion about how many parcels are allowed in a quarter section within this area, given the restrictions by the Buffalo Lake IDP. And this is the 1 quarter section that has a exception made to allow 3 private titles within the quarter section compared to the usual standard of 2. And that's largely because this land is within what's called the limited development area under the Buffalo Lake IDP. So it's important to know that the trade-off is that we're starting with 3 and we finish with 3. So the 6-acre parcel, the new purple box, whatever it's going to be, and then the remainder of the parcel, which will be consolidates lot 4. So we end up with, we had 3 or 4, we finish with 3 at the end. Mr. Chairman, you're going to entertain questions now, or?
Okay. Mr. Grover?
You're up first.
My question is regarding the old parcel that is being returned to farmland. Was the Rural Development Fund paid on that one? Because I'm not, now that that's being returned to ag land, I'm not sure if that we should offset that a bit.
I guess my last answer would be, you make changes, you deal with the policy as we go. But that 4-acre parcel was recently created as well. And it was a 5-acre block as a bare parcel. So the 5 acres would have been exempt from the RDF.
In this particular circumstance, we're not necessarily doing a double.
6-acre block at the top, when it was created, the first 5 acres of it would have been considered the same issue. First 5 is okay, but the additional acre would have been subject to the $1,000 per acre charge. And certainly, as we're now looking at another parcel, we'll have to look at the farmstead removal policies. That's, I think, our best fit in this. And the Rural Development Fund, our issue comes up yet again. So the other issues that, so I think I've gone over the Buffalo Lake IDP, the three.
Mr. Grover had a question.
I just was gonna move it.
Oh, okay. I would, Mr. McKay?
It doesn't make sense to me, but I'm just wondering why the oddball sized lot instead of a square or a rectangular lot.
So this site for the 17 acres does contain an open discharge. So the applicant.
Includes the open discharge then.
By the time you do that swinging 90-meter arc, that's how you get that interesting configuration on that east side. And I think part of the desire was not to have too many compound changes in the line of the fence to follow the curve. That's why you see it kind of going to a point.
Okay, but the dwelling that is there already, well, both dwellings, are they located on the same discharge?
So the shed that's more of a farm building to the south, the only dwelling is the one that's within the purple box, and it
I
is
thought that was a house on that other one too, but
on the open discharge. The open discharge is just, you can see the very dark green grass in the photo, and just a little bit too, so not that quite that dark, a little bit over, right, you're closer, yeah.
yeah, I'm sorry. I thought there was two homes there already, but okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll just wrap up my presentation with the recommendation is for approval. It is subject to the consolidation happening as proposed. So the surveyor's plan has to reflect that. Given that this is, we're adjusting the parcels again, it's definitely the second or third parcel out. Municipal reserve dedication does apply. So that's based on 10%, 17-acre parcel that's being created. We take cash in lieu at a value of $12.50 per acre. So the formula would be 1.78 times $1,250 per acre, and it's outlined in your report about the exact dollar figure. Our rural development contribution, the recommendation from staff is to treat this as a farmstead removal. Unfortunately, though, there's not a lot of yard or shelter belt that goes with what we traditionally would add up to create the farmstead. So it only accounts for about 2.75 acres to subtract from the 17.89, which leaves approximately 15 acres or $15,000 contribution to the rural development fund. And I don't think we have any conditions related to access. So those are,
Okay. Good.
I did forget one additional. The proposed well is going to be shared between the buildings, so we have recommended an access easement for that purpose. That the county doesn't have to be a party to that, but we'd like to see it, make sure it gets registered. Or given that we are close to the extension, possible extension of the Shirley-McClellan or the county lines in the area, this isn't that far off. They could opt to make a direct connection and stop using the well, or assign the well for the agricultural use and put the house on the municipal system. So we've set that up as an and an or condition. One of the two has to be satisfied before we go on for registration. That, Mr. Chairman, that ends my presentation.
Okay. So just the question I'm going to have is that with this, are we going to have a concern or a pushback from our neighboring municipalities to the far north, not the immediate north?
Mr. Chair, this application was circulated to all of our partners in the Buffalo Lake IDP, and they had well beyond the 21 days to provide the comments. We did not receive any comments back.
Okay, fair enough. So any questions or concerns? Do I have a mover and a shaker for this one?
Already did.
Okay, Mr. Grover is going to move this for approval. Any questions, concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor? That is carried. Okay, excellent. 8.1. Who's taking this one?
Be Rich.
So to date, planning staff have processed 108 development permits. This compares to 107 processed by the end of October of 2022. So we're pretty much on par from the numbers compared to last year. The types of permits we receive are a mixture of uses. Doesn't seem to be a definitive trend from month to month, but it is noteworthy that the amount of new construction is surprising given the cost of building materials and shortage of construction workers available. It's been a busy construction season, specifically in the Buffalo Lake area, with 31 permits for various types of new construction in that district. In addition to processing development permits, planning staff have been working with bylaw to bring non-compliant properties into compliance. So far, 6 properties have been brought into compliance with a joint effort between both planning and development and bylaw. These issues have either been remedied by the development being removed or the proper permit being applied for and issued for the development. These issues can be very time and resource consuming. Stop orders are a last resort when dealing with non-compliance issues, and every effort is made to work with the landowner prior to issuing a stop order. In the 6 cases that were resolved, the county did not have to resort to issuing a stop order as the landowner worked with us to get compliance. One other thing that is worth noting, we were asked to do a comparison year to year with the proposed value of developments. So whenever an application is received, the applicant is asked to provide us with a dollar amount of what they propose that the development is worth. So from 2022, the total value, and this was up till the end of October, the total proposed value from the applicant for the developments was $9,724,705. Up until the time of writing this report, 2023, the proposed value of developments is $7,313,364. So a bit of a drop, it seems, in the size of the projects, maybe the scale of what's going on, but still a considerable amount of money.
Mr. Stevens.
When you're comparing numbers, I can't help but notice Bar W Resort has a construction value of NA. And I realize a bunch of it was already existing, but the conditions did lay out a considerable amount of work that needed to come. So that 7 million from this year that's tentatively been approved will be going up.
Just observe that one specifically is for the demolition permit staircase.
Oh, fair enough.
Point taken.
And I would also like to point out that these are the numbers that are provided to us by the applicant. We haven't had, we're going to do a review and a comparison between the assessed values and what the applicant said they were worth, but we have to wait till year end to get those numbers back from the tax department.
Is that something you normally do?
No, that was something that was requested too.
No, I wondered because, I mean, it doesn't, the value that somebody puts on the development doesn't change their fees or anything go forward, because at the end of the day, we reassess it anyways, right? So I'm not 100% sure, there's no benefit for somebody to come in and say they're building a garage and it's, well, what's the what do you think the value? I don't know, it's gonna be 4,000. Well, realistically, you're gonna be in that $15,000 range, right? So there's no benefit to people, but I just wondered what the thought pattern.
No, it's just, and like I say, I throw that word of caution in there that these are estimated numbers provided by the applicant, not necessarily,
Everybody's budget's lower than when it actually comes through. I budgeted way less for mine and it was way higher. Yeah, exactly.
That concludes my reports.
Okay, anything else? Mr. Clark?
I'll move the report.
So Mr. Clark will move the development officer's report. Any questions or concerns? Seeing none, all those in favor, that is carried. Okay, intermunicipal referral report, White Sands, page 43 of our package.
Andrew, if you could just go to the sketch. So this is a referral from our neighbor about a proposed subdivision within the established area of White Sands. And what you're looking at is the middle lot between 83, 84, and 86. Lot 85 is being carved up into 3 pieces. And the respective 3 pieces are then going to 86, 83, and 84 to make all of them larger. So we're starting with 4. We should be ending with 3 larger parcels. So on that basis, we're actually going to be down a development unit when we start talking about the overall counts, because the parcels themselves, even if they're not developed on, count as one of the development units. So I'm not concerned in that respect. In addition, when it comes to the communal water and wastewater provisions, this at least seems to be heading in the right direction of having one less septic holding system. And I haven't had a chance to check the air photo. I think there's a good chance 84, 83, and 86 are already built. So we're kind of not much better off than what the starting point was. If anything, we're arguably one holding tank down. So on that basis, I would recommend that we indicate to Summer Village White Sands that we don't have any concerns about this proposed subdivision going ahead.
Out of curiosity, the square box at the top, the bunkie, what is that indicating?
I'm assuming they're referring to some form of guest suite accommodation that's been on the property that's been approved.
Where they hold all the beer in White Sands. It's not a bunker. Okay. Any questions, concerns, Mr. Gender?
These lots, are they part of the grand subdivision that was proposed earlier, that we then said, okay, both be with wastewater and water service?
They are not. I'm not sure if we could find Sarah Crescent on how fast can you Google Map.
So it's 90 degrees from the sketch. North was not up in the sketch. So let's turn it off real quick here. So you have, this is 83. Actually, sorry, let me bring this other one up to my other side so I can. Yeah. So this is 83, 84. The parts that be dissolved is 85, and then 86.
We couldn't just do a for context of where it is.
Can I ask a question too? How would they access these lots?
They're already existing lots that are accessed, right? So
Yeah.
83 is already existing.
Okay, but to split it up into 3 parcels.
They're consolidating.
Consolidating. Okay.
They're not splitting it in, they're actually consolidating. So basically, 3 property owners have bought one property in the middle and they split that in, but they just basically sucked it into their own property. So nothing's changed other than those 3 lots have expanded. So 83, 84, and 86 it's going to be a nightmare for their blue sign, but not our monkey, not our circus. So, Mr. Stolberg?
I'll make a motion that we receive this for information and contact the village, Summer Village of White Sands, and let them know we have no concerns or objections.
Rick, you have that? Okay, Mr. Gender?
Just going back on it, so like the previous subdivision that was supposed to have water and wastewater, whereabouts is that?
So we're going to be going south of there.
The concern that I had, I was just kind of wondering whether they were piecemealing these 3 out and they're going to keep on piecemealing this out so we'd never have to do wastewater and water.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? We have a motion on the table from Mr. Stolberg. 2-part, receive for information and send the letter saying we have no issues. No concerns, questions. All those in favor? That is carried. 8.3. Mr. Kneehill County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this is a referral from our neighbor to the south, and they are proposing changes to their land use bylaw to address a variety of alternative energy systems, so wind and solar. They call them some wind energy conversion systems.
Is the terminology they choose to use in their land use bylaw?
They just, okay. So they're also trying to very clearly set out a separate application process for these forms of development as they come through. Like us, they still have to fit within whatever AUC approval process has been given, but you see our neighbor trying to kind of set out pre-established rules and expectations through the land use bylaw, which hopefully applicants to AUC for these kind of projects will then comply with. And that includes things like setbacks from various coulees and ravines or environmentally sensitive areas, hamlets, urban municipalities within their boundaries, which leads to the series of maps at the very back. And they also try to flag higher quality agricultural land as an area of avoidance as well. So that's, I don't see any impacts on our own planning. Nonetheless, formally, they do give us opportunity to provide input or thoughts if we wish to send anything into Neil County. Their public hearing is scheduled for late November, I believe, but they haven't given us a deadline of November 7th to get our comments in.
Do we want to send anybody to the public hearing? Sometimes the home comes to ours. I don't know if we're. Go ahead, Mr. Clark.
I don't think it would hurt to send somebody to one just to see how that input is, as we're looking at, what down this path right now too with these. I like how they're calling them, not farms, but.
When is it again?
See, I didn't put the cover letter in the attachment, so I would have to confirm with whoever wants to attend. It's definitely after November 7th.
Well, yeah, it would be after RMA too, because.
Well, I think if Mr. Teal could send that out to us, and then we could make just through email, see who wants to go. Either. Okay.
So their public hearing is scheduled for Tuesday, November 14th at 10 a.m.
November 14th. Oh, that is
I have a meeting that evening. I could go.
that AUC. You have the AUC meeting?
No, I don't understand mine. I've got a Sherman McCollum meeting that evening.
The AUC meeting for RMA is there. They've got a. What time in the day?
10 a.m.
10 a.m. I don't know if we want to send full board members, but how, go ahead, Mr. Jenner.
Just kind of wondering, James, whether you and Larry would be interested in going.
I would probably say yes. I just, RMA that evening has at 7 p.m. has a Zoom meeting for AUC on this pausing, so might be good timing if anybody can get to that. I don't know if you saw that. It was in the newsletter, last newsletter that came out. So if you could send that out to, anybody else want to go? Any burning desire? Okay. Send that to Larry and I if you would. Just put it in our calendar.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Any other questions or concerns? So receive for information. Mr. Stevens has made the motion to receive 8.3 for information. All those in favor? That is carried. New business. Nothing crazy, nothing old business that we want to discuss. And in camera, we have a couple items, gentlemen, in camera. Gonna get a motion. Mr. Clark will take us in camera. All those in favor? And you got that, Brett? You got that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So, Mr. Chairman, just circle back to item 8.3 for the Nehill County LUB. I think the motion was received for information. So in terms of our correspondence back, did one of the people that are going, are you going to verbally give our feedback, or do you want a letter to go?
I think a letter to go, and then.
The recommendation was that we have no objections or concerns. It's not a lengthy letter, but.
And then if we go there and there's something that's stark that comes about, we'll bring it up.
Comment if we need to, or whatever we need to do.
Is it appropriate to make an additional motion to clear this up? We send a letter, because that,
No, I think we could just instruct administration to send the letter. He's asking the question whether or not to either we bring it verbally or they bring it by a letter. I think letter is how we've always done it. So that works for you, Craig?
Yes.
It's worth noting, I just popped onto Nehill's website to grab the details to send out to you guys. They postponed it till December 12th. So just to keep that in mind, I will send out that calendar invite still, but it'll be for a month later.
That's interesting. They pushed it off.
It could be with the RMA with them and everything.
Okay. Okay, if there's nothing else, then who's all going over?
I have to, I want to keep counsel just for a second after the meeting.
Okay, and so who's going over to see Peters? You are? Dave, are you going over to the Peters Development? Tracy Peters Development?
Oh. Yeah, I don't.
Supposed to meet there at 3.
You mean the one over here or the one out there?
No, the one at the egg thing. So 3 o'clock we're meeting, Justin?
depends on how my work catch-up call goes immediately after we finish.
Okay, unless,
I could,
I'm gonna try to go too as well, so,
I'm
okay,
gonna try to go, but I don't know, whatever.
okay. So, we're good then? Now we have a motion.
Next meeting is November 22nd.
November 22nd. A motion, Mr. Gender. All those in favor? That's carried. You got that, Britt?